Guys, I'm really excited to bring you this new series that we're going to do. So I want to start focusing on injuries and any sort of pain or aches that we may have. So to do that, we're going to start a corrective exercise series. So as you know, I'm a corrective exercise specialist. I have also been through it. I broke my back, broke my left hip, and I know what it takes to kind of get through it and come out the other side pain-free. So today we're going to start with shoulders. So it's a really good one because a lot of us are stuck at home at the moment, so we might be finding ourselves tucked in a little bit. So we can adjust things through this workout and start building the stability and strength in our shoulders that we need. So I'm going to show you this model that I like to use that I learned through my corrective exercise, and it's a way to strengthen something while learning how to inhibit and lengthen and stretch it. So what it is we inhibit the muscle. So we're trying to inhibit the muscle through something like SMR, like a foam roller. So if you have one, we're going to use that today. Or I also have this little jar. It's actually some muscle rub I get from Buddhist Moon. She's awesome. But you can use something like this. So a can of soup is also an option. So we're going to do that, and then following, we lengthen a muscle. So lengthening it, we're trying to just stretch the muscle out. So in this case, we're going to be focusing on anterior delts because we're going to try to work on this posture where our shoulders go forward. Upper cross syndrome is actually what it's called. And what we want to do with that is lengthen the front shoulder. So second part, lengthen, that means we're just trying to stretch it out. So first two is focused on that, and then we're going to move into activating and integrating the muscles. So what that means is we're going to practice by activating an opposing muscle or a muscle that will help actually relieve the tension on the other one. So for example, if we're doing anterior delts, we're going to do some focus on our posterior delts, rhomboids, and lower mid traps. And we want to focus on activating that because it's going to kind of take the pressure off the front and start to pull everything back. So I want to just make sure we're getting a little bit of an explanation with this so that we understand what we're doing. So then it comes integration, where we're integrating the muscles together. This is more of an exercise dynamic movement, and I'll show you that once we get to it. So let's start with the inhibit phase. Number one, inhibit our anterior deltoids. So how that's going to look, we're going to do a follow along workout with you. We're going to grab a foam roller or something like this can of soup, and that's what you're going to use. So to start, I'm going to have Kendra over here demo it, and I'm going to help her out so you guys at home know what you're doing. I'm going to be doing some of the exercises too, but I might jump over so that I can give her a few tips. So what we're going to do is start by being on the wall. Now we can be on the wall or the ground for this. So if we have a foam roller, we're going to bring this foam roller to the side, and she's going to try to bring her shoulder up to the foam roller. So then what she can do is start to put pressure in her feet and lean against it, so she's feeling that pressure on the front of the shoulder. Now while she's here, she wants to keep her arm behind, so then she's getting more of a stretch right there on the front shoulder. Now this is the one we're going to stick to today. I'm just showing you one. There's a lot of different ways we can do this. Also, depending on what your issue is with the shoulder, we would be hitting different muscles, right? But for the sake of today, we're going to really work on the posterior and anterior deltoids, work on that posture. So she's just going to hold that there. Now what we're looking for is an adhesion or something that's really tight, almost painful. And we're just going to hold that on there for 30 seconds. So we don't want to just rub it around. We're just holding. So that's all she's doing. Breathing deep, because when you breathe, you're stretching the muscles, right? So you don't have to force it, and that's it. And you're just going to hang out in that position. Great job. So that's one of them, and you can use something like this as well, where you're just going to put it, if you can see me here, right against your shoulder there. Or if the wall was like this, I'm just putting this here and driving it against the wall. So that's putting pressure on it. Now remember guys, you're not rolling around, it's not massage necessarily, you're trying to release the muscle and the adhesions that are built up in it. Now if you want to make it a little more intense, we'll just drop to the ground here, and you're going to put your arm out to the side, and you're just going to rest on it. Now it's going to depend on how much tension you can handle and how painful it is, but you're just going to keep trying to put more pressure until you feel it and it is slightly uncomfortable. And after the time goes by, you're going to notice it's not going to hurt as much. So you can actually put more pressure or roll around, find a different spot. So these are the ones that I want you to mess with this today. And you're just holding it there. So we're actually gonna do these all together. So this is the first set, inhibit the muscle, and grab one of these if you have one. The soup can works perfect. We're just gonna do a couple sets together. Follow along, watch, and do this at home. All right, ready guys? So we're gonna do about a minute of each. She's gonna do that regressed version up here on the wall. So just a minute, and I want you to try to look for 2 different adhesions, all right? So 1, you're in. So 1, find that one first, mess with it a little bit, maybe put the pressure on, and find that it's gonna release a little bit after you hold it there for a second. And then afterwards, you might switch, move it down a little bit, find a different spot, and then hold it there. 1 or 2 will be a good find to start with, right? So we'll do 1 on both sides. And if you're down here, guys, got my little soup can, if you will. Now I'm just gonna put it right underneath the shoulder. And we're just holding, guys, just trying to release the pressure, taking deep breaths. And that's what's really gonna help stretch out the front shoulder. Because it is a lot of tension having to sit so often and being forward. So I found that spot and find the next one. All right, good job. So you got that side, and then your shoulder might feel a little looser on that end. And then we're just gonna go straight into that other arm. So she'll be up on the wall, or you can be on the ground, and we're gonna try to do just about the same thing with this side. And you really might notice one side's gonna be a little more of a challenge than the other side. Good, and when you're up here, sometimes you might even wanna bring that arm back more, you might feel it more. Because how we're stretching our front shoulder is just bringing our arm behind. So if she brings it back more, she might even feel that stretch up in the front just a little bit more. I gotta get it on the other side since I already did that one. Push it out. You might find going down your shoulder towards your bicep is a good spot. And when you find it, remember, hold, deep breath, trying to hang out on that adhesion for 20 to 30 seconds. And it should start to release a little bit. That's the goal. We're trying to inhibit this muscle, meaning get it to stop firing as much. Good. And then coming up, shaking that out. Great work, guys. All right, so that's the inhibit. If you want, go through, do another set of those, but we're gonna move straight on into the lengthening phase of this. So we're gonna lengthen the same muscle. So when we're talking upper cross syndrome, there's a few muscles involved, right? So take this for what it is, because we're working on one today. But we're gonna work on the front delt, because when we're pulled forward, we have our chest involved too, right? Chest is another muscle that we wanna stretch. Working on the delts today. But the front delt's gonna be a big one. And why? Because the shoulder is so mobile, it goes in every direction. The chest is just right here, right? We don't have a back chest muscle necessarily, but we do have both sides of our shoulder. So that's why we wanna really be focusing on that one. So with the anterior delts, now we're gonna do another stretch. If you've been in my gym, you know I love this stretch. So it's gonna be a little bit for the biceps as well, because believe it or not, that shoulder and bicep attach, they relate to each other a lot. So we wanna try to get both of those stretched out. So what we're gonna do here is she's gonna go up to the wall, put her fingertips back behind, she already knew it was coming. And then when we're in this stretch, we're trying to drop the shoulder down. Her arm will stay in line with the shoulder, but we're just keeping the shoulder away from the neck. And that looks great. And the arm stays straight. And then when she wants more, she's just gonna twist her body out, and she should feel a big stretch through the shoulder, anterior delt, and this is gonna start pulling into the upper chest and the clavicle, which is where your upper chest is actually attached. And then she might even feel it down the bicep because we're attached at the shoulder, up into the wrist. And that's the lengthening one. And we're gonna do that all together. Again, trying to shoot for that minute. And we adjust the times. If I were to make you an individual program for today, we'll do about a minute on each, right? So start there. This is gonna be the lengthened portion. So we're just trying to lengthen that muscle, getting it back to the optimal length, because when we're so tight, everything starts to constrict together. All right, ready guys? So you're just doing a minute on both sides. You're in. Rotating the hips out if you can or need to, and just making sure the shoulder's right in line with the wrist. So we won't feel it as much, guys, if the hand's all the way back here and we're trying to twist. We're gonna make sure the hand right in line with the shoulders. And then we slowly start to twist. Oh boy, yeah, I feel it right. Shoulder blade. And these are great stretches after you work the muscle too, right? After you do a big, heavy push day or a lot of planks, you're gonna wanna get this muscle stretched out. And this one will work for it. Deep breath, might even feel it go up the fingers a little bit. Nice job. Breathing in through the chest and stomach. Good. Then we're just going to go straight into it. I think you got about 10 or 15 seconds rest. Shaking it out. Shoulders should really start feeling a little more flexible by now. Let's get into that other side. Same thing. Trying to stay tall, not letting the body round. All right, shoulders are back. You're proud. Standing tall, looking straight. Hands not too far behind you. In line with the shoulder. Or just slowly twist out. Deep breath, breathing in through the stomach and the chest. Just make your body a little bigger. And that'll force that stretch a little bit without you having to force it with your muscle. You're just breathing it out. There we go. As you're doing this, you might feel you get a little more flexible. So you can go a little further, and that's what we want to do. Continue to push it a little bit at a time. Not too much. There we go, deep breath. All right, hands starting to tingle a little bit. Shake it out. Now we should feel a little more stretched, even up through the wrist, up into the shoulders. All right, so now just shake it out for a second. Again, if you guys want to go through, get a second set, that's a good recommendation. Otherwise, we're going to start working on activating the muscle. So with this one, we're going to work on activating the serratus part of our muscles. And it's actually going to help with the posterior delts because we're going to be stretching them out to the side. And we're using the serratus and the lat muscles to stabilize the shoulder. So when we activate when we go into an activation phase, we're trying to either do like an isometric or an isolation workout. So that means a plank, which is an isometric, so we're just holding it, or a very simple isometric or isolation. So an isolation would be, let's say, just doing a bicep curl for the bicep instead of doing a pull-up. So in this case, maybe a rear fly instead of doing a big pull movement. So for these, we're going to do plank protractions. So she's going to start on her knees. That's going to be a good, easy way. We can also actually use the wall for this one, and I think most of you at home should be able to do this, and if not, the wall is a great option. But for now, she's just hands and knees on the ground, and the big focus here is going to be pushing into the ground as much as you can and opening the back. So we're trying to spread the shoulder blades apart away from each other, and she's keeping a good tight stomach too. Push round, there we go, and see that roundness in the back. And then she's going to squeeze her shoulder blades together, and that's how she'll feel that. So for this exercise today, we're actually just going to hold it at the top. But in the future, think, squeeze the shoulder blades together, push the ground away. To make it an isometric today, she's just holding this position, right? So getting that back round, squeezing up and through here. Thinking about the elbows, twisting the elbow pit forward. So she's almost rotating her hands out or corkscrewing her hands without them actually twisting. And you're just gonna try to hold this as long as you can. Now, what you're gonna experience is probably a good 10 seconds of as hard as you can, and then resting for a second, and then going again, right? So if we want, we can make that one a little harder too, just by being up on the feet. So if the feet are closer, we're gonna be a little easier, and then corkscrewing the hands, so we're twisting out, pushing the ground away, tucking the stomach and squeezing the glutes, and we're just gonna try to hold. And I can only hold for so long, probably hold, rest a little bit, and then I'm gonna push again. Hold as long as I can, so that I create that roundness in the upper back. Now, if those two options are a little too hard, I'm just gonna show you this one. Use the wall, and you're just gonna step back so the arms are straight, and all you're doing is trying to push the wall away. And you're just learning that motion of moving the shoulder blades by themselves, because a lot of us don't even know how to move the shoulder blades by themselves. So you could even do this, and just hands in front, practice keeping the arms straight, because you'll have a tendency to feel like you need to bend, but really, you're just keeping them straight the whole time and just moving from the shoulder blades, right? All right, ready guys? Lots of explanation, little bit of work. Are you ready? So we're just gonna try those protractions, and you're just holding them. So you have a minute, you're in, and you're just pushing that ground away, pushing the wall away, keeping the core active, always, right? Keeping tension off the low back, and just really opening up in here. Because what we're doing also is setting these shoulder blades in place by using the serratus to pull them in. And that is very helpful when we're talking about posture and some of this that we get going on, which is very common, especially right now. I should probably get one or two of these in, huh? So wide legs, push that ground away. Wider the legs are, easier it'll be. And just keep pushing away. You should feel a lot of space in the shoulders right now. Good. Don't let the shoulders go up towards the neck. Squeezing the glutes. And good. We're going down for that 15 seconds, and then we're doing the same exact thing. Now, for those of you who are a little more advanced, I'll show you this new advanced one. You're just doing it with one arm, and I'll do that one on this one. So I'm just gonna try one arm at a time. I could be on my knees or on the feet, and you're just pushing that ground away. Holding that plank on one side, twisting in, or even on the knees. Now this is a good way, especially if we have a serious imbalance where one side's a little more active or proactive than the other. Needs to sit down, take a rest. So use the other side and focus. And make sure we're switching, getting that other side. Pushing the ground away, squeezing the stomach as much as you can. Nice job, guys. This last little bit, both hands I'm gonna put down, squeezing. Really feel like you're pushing through the earth. Round in the back, elbow pits are forward. And good. Nice job. Tough ones, right? And really good to open up the shoulder and creating some space. So if you want to, go through another 2 rounds of those. Otherwise, we're moving into the final thing that I want you to do, which is integrating that muscle back into where it needs to be. So we're just really learning neuromuscular control, because a lot of the times when we have muscle imbalances, that means we're starting to move in ways that are easier for the body, right? But not necessarily the healthiest. Easy example is when people walk like this. This isn't necessarily normal, but our bone structure starts to sit that way based on what our muscles are doing, right? So if we were to try to correct this when you're a younger person, as we get older, bone structure just sits there, so we gotta stay. We just need to start working to move these feet in the right place and learning how to move correctly. So for example, we're gonna do something for the shoulders and learning how to create that good open posture. So if you want, feel free to grab a can of soup, dumbbells, something with a little bit of weight, or nothing, because nothing is probably good enough. So Kendra's gonna stand up here, she's gonna hinge over at the hips, and what we're gonna do is bent over scaption. So now scaption is an exercise that's just really good for the shoulders. So you have your upper shoulder here, and when you twist, your bone in the socket is twisting, right? So you only like certain spots. It doesn't like every single area. So a really good position for the shoulder is rotating the hand out. So that's what we call scaption. So in this, we're gonna go up into a V with our hand up. So she's gonna make it a little harder by hinging at the hips and then going up into that V. Now what we're doing with this exercise is activating these low mid traps and teaching them to move correctly with the shoulder blades. Because when we bring the arms overhead, the shoulder blades have to do a certain motion, upward medial rotation, downward rotation, to get into the right spots, right? So for her, she's just squeezing those traps together, bringing the arm down. Now it's also gonna feel a little better if this is something that's difficult for you now that you've stretched out that front shoulder. Because when the front shoulder is too tight and we try to do a motion like that, it's trying to fight the whole time because it's not stretched out, so it's trying to fight you when you're bringing your arms overhead. So that's kind of the idea of why we're inhibiting and lengthening those muscles before we decide to go in and activate and train those muscles to do what they should be doing, all right? So if you need to, you can grab some weights for this one and make it a little bit harder. Also, if the bent over version is too much, stand straight and tall and just do it this way, and that's perfect, right? And this one is the real scaption where we're standing up, and that's setting that shoulder blade in place in a good spot for here because we're fighting gravity. So they are a teeny bit different, but I'm making it a little more harder and advanced. We get that stabilization and a little more low mid traps. All right, ready guys? Last thing that's going down today, and your shoulders should be feeling a little better right after this. All right, you're in on those bent over scaptions or just standing. Good. And remember, overhead a bit into that V. We don't want to go too far out into a T. Good. This is one of the only exercises that really isolates out the low mid traps. Good job. And then I am only going to use 5 pounds because that's very heavy. A tiny little bend in the knees and trying to keep those shoulders set the whole time. When you lift up, guys, really try hard not to shrug. Keep those shoulders down and back, squeeze together. There we go. Got a couple more. A little poppy in my shoulders. Arms are nice and straight. Good job. And then we're gonna just do 2 sets. So we take 15 seconds or so. You should be able to get around 15 or so reps out of these. And then we're gonna go for 1 more round. So you're in, and remember your form. That's the most important when we're correcting. Don't be messing around with heavier weights. Just slow and controlled. There we go, good. Keeping it into a V, tiny bending in the knees, squeezing the stomach a lot. And this is a good low back exercise too, actually. You'll feel it a lot in the low back. So remember, keep the stomach squeezed as tight as you can. That's going to be extremely important when doing these. Those look great, Kendra. Good job. You guys got it at home. It's a really good one to fix those shoulders eventually. You can't just do one workout and expect it to be all better. Good. And as you get tired, you just stay leaning forward. I skipped that whole set. Nice job. All right.
The forward lean's pretty intense.
Whew. Forward lean intense. Shoulders and low back. You guys did really good with that one. I'm excited to keep these going. Now remember, inhibit, lengthen, activate, integrate. So that's a really good way to set up programs. That's what I do for a lot of my clients who might have sciatica pain or some sort of shoulder rehab that they're having to go through. And I make them an individualized program so that they can go through it just like that. So you're getting exactly what I do, except we're just making it a little shorter. So feel free to go through this twice but this is something that you can add 2 to 3 times a week into your routine, and you should really start to feel the difference. Give it a good 30 days, but I would say even after this little short bit, you should feel a little looser and a little less pain in the shoulders. So it's a good one. Keep those going. I'm gonna do a series here, so we just got shoulders out of the way. We're gonna move on, probably do a little bit of lower back, and we'll be doing the knees here too. So stay in touch, stay tuned. If you want more of this, I also have my online trainer program, guys, $39 a month, and I make videos that you can follow along with, personalized program throughout every month. So it's really effective, easy way to get in touch with a personal trainer. And I'm also doing my live Zoom workouts right now. So if that's something you guys want to be a part of, feel free to come. Also, anyone can join on Sundays. Super excited for this Sunday. So I'll see you all soon.